London Transport Museum here. The buses over the years. When going past there, used to be a flower market here till 1974.
With a layer of clay under the Thames. Barlow's former apprentice, James Greathead, developed practical
The underground history here, digging tunnels, electrification. Lifts. Rung bell. City and South London electric locomotive and carriage 18 and 90.
Circular lifts. A novelty in point of size, being able to carry some 50 passengers. We boarded our car from a narrow platform in a small, yet surprisingly well lighted, cool and spotlessly clean white tiled station. It has been a comfortable journey thus far, although compared with railway carriages above ground, the car seems cramped, especially in height. It fits the tube with such nicety and economy of space that were we.
Then the underground train, the iconic logo from 1908. Posters. There we are. Designs of the corporate material. And on the train here. Decommissioned in 1988, the final ones. Woolworth have it there. There we are, Woolworths. The old telephone. Passenger information and the map there.
Yeah, see, these are 3 inserted.
London Transport Museum. But the war years here as well. Air raid shelter there. Some people made these in their own gardens and dug them out. Demand for the war effort.
The war was rather remote from us until
Bombed during the war very heavily across London.
Everybody was out in the street looking. They focused all the searchlights on this white cigar-like object up in the sky.
Trail of destruction.
I became conscious of the fact that it was silly to go out in the streets.
The air raid desecration and also destruction of all the buildings, as in so many cities. And the old architecture, lovely old architecture, character architecture which we lost. Yeah, the air raids in the Second World War. Stark contrast to the First World War.
A moonlight night. There was a thing called the Bomber's Moon. The German bombers used to follow the ribbon of the river, and so they knew exactly where they were when they got over London.
Most of London was bombed, of course, with thousands of casualties. In 1940, Blitz.
We went to churches fairly early in the night, and we stayed there till...
Same as today in Ukraine. It's very
To me, being quite young, the whole thing was very strange, very unfamiliar.
topical at the moment in Ukraine with the Russian
I would say
onslaught
about
with the war.
15 feet, maybe 20 feet wide, the platform.
You have a couple of feet of platform to walk along, but the rest of it was all occupied with people in beds, blankets, and virtually the whole of the depth of the platform was filled with sheltering people.
And the trains were coming in all the time, so you had to leave a space for people getting in and off the trains.
At least it was organised. There were facilities for toilets and facilities for washing, and also for making tea and coffee.
All important tea and coffee. Because it was horrendous in the summer and the hot nights. Not so bad in the winter.
The worst part was the smell, really. I mean, it was a sort of smell of bodies and other unmentionable things.
No toilets.
So there was a bit of a pond down there.
The weird experience there that I still remember was you could hear everything virtually was going on up top. So you'd hear the bombs, you'd hear the guns and so forth, which echoed down the shaft.
The V2s weren't half as bad as the V1s. The V1s, you could hear them, but as soon as it stopped, that was the most terrifying thing because you didn't know where that bomb was going to land. But the V2s, it was a big flash and a big bang, and then big craters.
Yeah, complete desecration.
Really and truly, when I think about it, if they dropped a bomb on the actual station, it would have been cool. But I think the fact was you were with other people that gave you courage.
I hated it, to be quite frank. I thought anything was better than this.
Very demoralising. But they kept strong during the war. That camaraderie. Amongst all the bad was happening and the trauma of it all. Yeah, at least they had the stations to use. The war in London. All the transport here. This is the London Transport Museum here. One era to another. There we are, London Transport Museum. Trams and buses here. Over the decades, as you can see, there we are. Clerkenwell here. Trolley buses, they were used about the 1950s. There we are. Service began in 1931, expanding quickly. The K2 is a typical London trolley bus type that replaced the first generation of electric tram as the system grew in the 1930s. After the Second World War, plans changed and both tram and trolley bus routes were replaced by new diesel buses. Double axles, right at the back. There's information here. London Transport established 1933. 65 trolley bus routes in London. There we are. This North London. This was delivered in March 1939. Typical of over 1,600 trolley bus built between 1935 and 1941. This vehicle entered the service from Hackney Depot, renamed Clapton in 1950, replacing trams on routes in North East London. Transferred to Wood Green Depot in 1959, where it ran until withdrawal in April 1961 before being replaced by a route max bus. It's been on display here since 1980 when it opened. All the information here as shown. There we are. All on screen here. And commissioned in 1961. Well, we can have a look on the tram here, so we'll have a look. Now, good heavens, there we are. Nice bit of space there, comfortable seats. Quick look up here. Double decker. Good view up here over the museum. Probably got the middle class passengers in there. Don't know where the third class passengers are, but this is the roof on the tram. Some third class passengers didn't have a roof on trains until the 1890s and beyond. There we are, buses there. London Transport Museum. Well, this tram car number 102 was built in 1910 by the United Electric Car Company of Preston, Lancashire. All 6 wheeled by the West Ham Corporation Tramways. There we are. Design is not unique to London. It's typical of electric trams ordered by local authorities all over the UK as the Newcastle's tramways opened. Gotta be quick to read this because it'll it goes off and goes back to the start. In 1933, West Ham tramways were taken over by newly unified London Passenger Transport. Number 102 was renumbered to 19 and repainted in red livery. It was withdrawn in 1938 and stored for preservation. London Transport Museum returned the tram to its West Ham Corporation colours in 1993. So, about what? Just over 25 years ago. The old tram, built in 1910 in Lancashire, up in Preston. Alongside the tram we have the B-type bus used for the war effort in places such as France and Greece and various other countries here. They are even converted into lorries. There we are. We're at the outbreak of the First World War in August 1914. The B-type buses were commanded for the war effort. Over 1,000 were sent to Europe. Most went to France and Belgium, but some went as far as Greece, transporting troops to and from the front line. Some were converted into lorries, others served as ambulances or even mobile pigeon lofts. There we are. Fleet number served Route 9 between Barnes and Liverpool Street from January 1914 and was commanded by the War Department when the war broke out, and pilots returned to London after the war. Still in its khaki livery, B2737 was used as a traffic emergency bus, an austere solution to post-war bus shortages. In 1922 it was sold to the National Omnibus and Transport Company for use outside London. Yeah. Few interchangeable parts, most survived beyond 100 years, absolutely amazing. Largely the original material, and some were discovered as far away as Australia. Very reliable and durable. Restoration here was, on this one, was completed in June 1914. Converted to a military troop carrier and took part in the commemorative tour of the Western Front known as Battle Bus B2737, has now taken part in over 50 events across the UK. There we are. Forget me what not there as well. Thousands of travel workers, including 1,400 who said lost their lives. There are flowers there. Flowers printed with illustrations created by artist Jackie Simmons. Well, there was 100 volunteers. Artwork installation. Oh, there you go. So the newer installation is actually above us here. Just have a look at that. General bus here. And there it is. Installation there, forget me not, there we are. Here at the London Transport Museum. Each flower is screen printed with illustrations by Jackie Simmons and over 100 volunteers. Traditionally each flower has a special meaning, so there we are. Transport Museum here in London, Covent Garden. We have a lovely old wartime car here. All case all loaded up here. Lots of exhibits here of yesteryear. For hire. And here it is. It's a taxi originally. Austin low-loader taxi, 1936.